Appreciate the support. Shout out to all the supporters.
I was here listening. I wanted to tear my own arm off so I could had something to throw at the screen. He's obviously never been punched in the face.
History will remember your lines.
Oh,
here.
shout out to my man Chase. Remember, for 4 months, he said there's a reason. Yeah, there's a reason to the madness. Yeah, method to the madness. Trump is playing 4D multi-dimensional chess while he got everyone thinking he's playing checkers. Oh, and 4 months, man. Oh, yeah, shout out to my man Chase, bro. Appreciate you, dog. I mean, let's see, because like I said, this could be 4D chess. You know, you might. I'm gonna be real with you. When he did Venezuela, that was a 4D chess move. Because a lot of people were kind of ignoring the whole value of that would have during the trade war with China. And China gets a good amount of oil from Venezuela. And then so does Cuba. We put them in a tight position through that. So it's like that people don't even know that we kind of put like 2 countries in a very tight position. And it's China and Cuba. And others as well, but not as much as China and Cuba.
In the short time since our last show, President Trump has ordered airstrikes on Islamists in Nigeria and Syria. He sent the U.S. Delta Force to seize Venezuelan President Maduro in a stunning overnight raid. And he's out controlling the regime by video link while a naval armada lurks in the Caribbean Sea. He threatened to seize Greenland from Denmark, one way or another. Mexican cartels, he says, could be bombed too. And most consequential of all, Iran is now on notice. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Iranians have been killed in the past week for protesting against the Islamic regime. Today, the president's posted cryptically that help is on its way.
Your red line yet to trigger a response?
Well, they're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options.
Well, the mullahs have run Iran as an Islamic dictatorship for almost 50 years. Dissent is punished by death. Women are beaten for not covering their faces. Minorities are denied housing and services. There's little dispute about any of this because the Iranian government wants its own people to know about it. Every popular uprising to date has been beaten down by one of the most formidable and ruthless security services in the world. Bodies are piled high as a warning, and eventually the protesters go home. So why will this time be any different? Well, Iran's exiled crown prince, Reza Pahlavi, says the difference is Trump.
And I think we have some serious leaders that understand what is necessary, that understand the ask of the Iranian people, and are responding to that. I think President Trump is responding to the call that the Iranian people have. The Iranian people have heard his words. They are naming streets after him in Iran. There's a difference. They know he's no Barack Obama or Joe Biden. And that's why they do have a higher expectation.
Well, there's no sane argument that the Iranian regime is good for the Iranian people, but you don't need to be an apologist for the mullahs to worry about what happens next. A regime that's spent half a century embedding itself in every community on every street corner isn't going to just vanish into thin air. And many sympathetic Americans want the president to focus on rebuilding their nation, not anybody else's. Only Trump knows what he'll do next. But right now,
that is true. I mean, we are a bit sick of foreign intervention to the point where, like, bro, we don't start seeing some, policy towards our way instead of you trying to focus on everything outside of America. Then I'm be real with you. I always said the Republicans deserve to lose the midterms if all you do is focus on foreign policy and not American policy or domestic policy. You're screwing us in that sense, and you're screwing yourselves, and y'all will lose the midterm if the only resume you have is a whole bunch of foreign intervention.
Peace through strength is starting to look like a lot like, the strength, and he wants the Ayatollah to know about it. Well, we'll start this debate by talking to someone close to President Trump, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee, great to have you back on Uncensored.
Thanks, Piers. Great to be back with you.
So much going on in this year, and it's only, 2 weeks old. As we are about to talk, Donald Trump has posted to his Truth Social platform in the last few minutes, Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions, save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I've cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way. MIGA, Make Iran Great Again,
Make it,
President
please.
Donald J. Trump. First of all, your reaction to that post. What should we read into this?
Well, I think President Trump is monitoring this situation very carefully. He's very admiring of the fact that the Iranian people are taking their country into their own hands. They recognize that if they don't stand up to the Ayatollahs, who for 47 years have made their lives a living hell, then no one is going to do it for them. I think the president is giving them encouragement that they just need to know that they're not being forgotten, that there are people who recognize that their quest for freedom is a legitimate quest. Iranian people are right now in an economic mess. For the cost of what used to buy them a car, they can barely buy a loaf of bread. They don't have water. Their government is spending all of its money throwing it away on Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah. Murder.
Which he does have a real good point on. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, their people are suffering, yet these guys are still sending millions of dollars to the Houthis, the guys in Yemen or a certain part of Yemen. I mean, come on now. Now, why your people suffering? Don't you think you might want to pull back on the foreign funding of terrorist groups? Like, I'm just saying, like, that'd have been a pretty smart move because, you deal with inflation, water shortage, reckless spending. I mean, what do you think? Do you think the people are just going to sit there and not revolt? I would hope they would. And I honestly was hoping they would get the Ayatollah out of power. And I still am, because we don't know if it's for sure if they were able to stop the protests or settle the protests.
People. They're the #1 state-sponsored terror organization in the world. They operate all over the world. It's not just a Middle East issue. It's not a Gulf States issue. It's a global issue. And these bad boys have not only made it difficult for people across the Middle East and the world, but they've really made it horrible for their own population. And this past summer, Piers, the Iranian people saw that their nation, which is 10 times the size of Israel, got its butt kicked by Israel in the 12-day war. And they're wondering, why don't the...
All right, I'm sorry, but that's actually propaganda. In the 12-day war, honestly, both sides were receiving heavy damage. Both sides. I mean, bro, Iran was hitting Israel. Israel was hitting Iran. The problem is that Israel could not afford to keep on taking on Iran. So we got involved. We bombed the Mount Fordo, and Iran backed off. And that's what came to the ceasefire of the 12-day war. So, no, it wasn't because Israel was kicking Iran's ass. They were both kicking each other's teeth in, both getting good shots in on each other. But for some reason on Fox News, they're going like, oh, Israel is winning. It's all them. But then when you actually see Israel and how they're getting bombed in Tel Aviv and some of their major places, you're like, oh, okay. Propaganda. Of course, they're going to try to sell it to us like Israel is just taking the day. I mean, let's be real. While we think about it like this, if Israel was winning and this was going to be a sure win for Israel to destabilize the Ayatollah or to take them out, why do we get involved? Why would we stop them? Why we should just let them cook and let them get what they want. But that's what was going down. So we went in there, helped them save face by bombing them and getting them to back off.
Iranian officials spend some money on making our country better rather than on murdering people in other countries.
What is Donald Trump going to do, do you think?
Well, and Israel can win the war of nutrition with Iran as well. I mean, they still got to buy their weapons from us and other countries, while Iran, I mean, they're just making it. They're just literally making these missiles.
Because he's making it clear in that new statement that if the killing, as he puts it, senseless killing of the protesters doesn't stop, and the Iranians, the regime's admitted at least 2,000 people have been killed. Many people on the ground believe you can add, at least 10,000 to that number, potentially more. Clearly, a lot of innocent people are getting killed here. What does Donald? Sorry.
I was just saying, without a doubt, there are many. And, back in 2009 in the Green Path movement, there were like 100 people killed, and it almost toppled the regime then. We know that there are thousands who have already been killed by their government this time. So this proportionally is a much larger movement than we saw even back in that particular moment. So we're watching something that is clearly organic, that happened from within. It wasn't something that was stimulated by a foreign government. It was stimulated by the desperation of the Iranian people and by their being fed up with a government that just seemed to forget that they were hungry, They were thirsty, and their government was ignoring them and spending all their money sending big checks and weaponry to the worst terror groups in the world.
So, in terms of what Donald Trump could do here, again, he says help is on its way, make Iran great again. What does that help look like? What does American help look like if the killing of the protesters continues?
It would not be for me to say. I would tell you what the White House press secretary said today when I asked that very question. She said all options are on the table. And I think that's what the president will look at, all options. What could those be? They could range anything from economic aid to military, may just be the encouragement. I wouldn't try to put a particular option in the hands of President Trump. His instincts are better than anyone's I know. And he seems to know what to do and when to do it. And time and again, he confounds the people who assume he won't do the right thing. And by golly, he ends up doing it. So I'm going to sit back myself and watch and see. But I have every confidence that when the president says something, he means it. And I think the Iranians didn't understand that in the summer. There's a saying down south, Piers, that there's no education in the second kick of a mule. And I don't think the Iranians maybe learned everything from the first kick of the mule they had last summer. And it may take a second kick of the mule. And I would just remind them there's no education in that.
That first kick of the mule, that's a great phrase, by the way. That first kick of the mule was a collaborative kick from Israel and the United States. Would Israel?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, what he's saying is BS, because I'm just like, bro, if Israel was kicking their ass, why we get involved? Literally. Like, no, literally, let them cook. Like, what was the point of us getting involved if Israel was just cooking that shit? And then why did Israel stop once we bombed them if they was just going to win? Because a war with Iran, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but Israel cannot win a war with Iran. They can't. They're out-missiled. They're outgunned. This is one of the reasons why they want Iran to be stabilized, because they're the last opposing force in the Middle East to them.
They'll get actively engaged again.
Or the opposing force that actually has any real power to take them on is Iran. And Iran leaves Israel alone because of America.
With the United States, if there were to be new military strikes against Iran?
I don't think we know. I mean, nobody at this point knows. It was very apparent. And even the Mossad indicated that they were caught off guard by the uprising. So anybody saying that this was instigated by Israel or instigated by the United States, they're saying something that just doesn't match with the reality. This has happened because the Iranian people are saying we want to be unshackled from this oppressive and very horrible government that has made our lives terrible and that have put us in a position where we don't have food, we don't have water, we don't have a future. But boy, do we ever have missiles. And, there's a point at which people in their desperation just say, that's enough. That's what we're seeing in Iran. What Israel will do, what America will do right now is to say, what can we do to be helpful? But we don't want to get in the way of the Iranian people taking their country in their own hands. I think we all have great admiration that this is coming from them, not from someone else.
Okay. For the cameras, before the ceremony, before history is...
And like I said, guys, if you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. We are $13 away from our goal, so appreciate the support, guys. Just $13 more. We can go ahead and get into the Nick Shirley reaction, and of course, go ahead and run a conspiracy hour and open up the call-in lines as well. All right, guys, not forget to double tap that screen, like the video. Let's get right back at it with Ambassador Mike Huckabee.
There have been uprisings before, a number of them, that have all been quashed in the most violent and ruthless manner by the Ayatollahs. What makes this different? I've been struck by people like the German Chancellor coming out and saying this is the beginning of the end this time, and it could be just a matter of weeks before this regime topples. Others who are very expert in Iran think that is fanciful thinking, that they are so intrinsically embedded into every aspect.
Oh, and I'm gonna have to go ahead and share some common sense for you guys, but somebody said Israel's one of the most armed countries in the Middle East, bro. Actually, well, so is Iran. And it could definitely hold its own against Iran. I mean, no, it can't. It can't. Not without our help. Not without our interference. I mean, bro, if they were able to hold their own against Iran, you know how much they've been fear-mongering on Iran? For 20 years. Damn near 30. If they were so armed, they'd have took Iran out decades ago. Like, bro, we wouldn't be talking about the Ayatollah. They'd have been took them over if they was oh so heavily armed. If they were, they could just whoop their ass any day of the week, but they can't. And it shows because they wait for us to get involved. And then when they popped it off with Iran, they needed us to get involved to stop the decimation of their cities. And of course, they were hitting Iran as well. Both sides were kicking each other's teeth in. But let's not sit here and pretend like Israel was just dominating them. That's just a lie.
Of Iranian society, that it can't happen that fast. What is your assessment of whether that is even achievable?
Here's, I think you and I both remember back in the late 80s when everyone in the world was.
Hey, and shout out Toe for the baller alert. He says, got the hour. Hey, and I got you, Tove. All right, I'm going to go ahead and post that call-in link. Just go ahead and take a quick little break real quick, but I got you guys.
Off guard when the Berlin Wall came tumbling down one night, and the people of East Germany said, that's it, we're done. And over the course of the next few months, the entirety of the communist empire started falling apart and people had freedom again. Nobody would have imagined, nobody could have predicted. My gosh, if I could have predicted that, I could have predicted the stock market for the next 20 years. But why did it happen? It didn't happen because the U.S. instigated it or because the Brits instigated it or because NATO instigated it. It happened because people finally got fed up and they were willing to risk their lives. What we're seeing on the streets of Iran, and here's what's important, it's not just in Tehran, it's in over 100 cities across this vast country. So this is not a limited issue with a few university students who are yelling and screaming and carrying signs. These are people who are now engaging in physically challenging the oppressive police and military. There may come a time very soon when some of the people in the police forces of these communities across Iran say, I'm not going to kill my neighbors so that I can somehow please a government that makes me sick too. When that moment happens, and I think we could see it soon, then it's game over. Okay,
sadly, I mean, I'm hoping that bro, I was hoping that moment would be now, but you know, there's people who were saying, I bet that the Ayatollah will be out by the end of the month. Well, I'm doubting that a bit. I'm actually kind of doubting that due to what I'm hearing Trump saying, oh, everything is settled. The protests are, you know, settled down and they're not executing protesters. And then, of course, we got the Iranian foreign minister coming out saying, oh, the protesters were quelled. Don't worry, guys. It was just Mossad and the CIA getting involved again. Like, you know, nothing to see here. It's really hard to tell what's going on, to be quite honest. And we'll have to see as time progresses and at the end result of the month. I mean, if the Ayatollah is still in power, I mean, that kind of shows that I guess they did quell the rebellion. I guess they are still in power. If not, and they're just doing a media blockage to hide the fact that they can't control the rebellion, then hey, I mean, the game is still on. The Ayatollah could be out by the 31st. I mean, I think it's out on Polymark or Kalshi. They're out here throwing bets on it, and the bets is at $19 million. We have, people betting on if the Ayatollah is going to get kicked out by the end of the month. I mean, we might actually have some armed forces who take that bet and go out there and be like, look, man, I'm putting missionary work to get these guys up out of here. I need my money. Bro, I swear to God, this gambling is going to lead people to do some very wild things, okay? I think we might want to stop it now. We're playing in the devil's playground, guys. I'll tell you that right now when it comes to gambling.
Again.
Ambassador Huckabee, always great to have you on Uncensored, as I said at the top of the interview, and I say it even more emphatically now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Piers. Great always to be with you.
Well, to debate this, I'm joined by the founder and CEO of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, the Iranian-born former Canadian MP, Goldie Gamari, the journalist and host of the Chuck Todd cast, Chuck Todd, and the former US Navy SEAL, Rob O'Neill. So a powerful panel to launch our first show back this year. Cenk Uygur, Happy New Year, first of all. Let's get the pleasantries out of the way. I suspect things are about to turn unpleasant very quickly, so let's be civil to start. Cenk, I thought it was a good time to have a vacation, if I'm completely honest with you. Turned out to be one of the worst times to ever have a week off in history, where basically all hell broke loose everywhere. And as we try and wrestle with this, let's talk primarily, for the purposes of this debate, about Iran first. What do you feel about what's happening there? It does seem significant to me that the German Chancellor is now coming out saying this is the beginning of the end of the regime and it could happen in weeks. Is that your sense that this, despite a number of repressed attempts at overthrowing this regime that have failed, that this time we might be seeing the hand of history?
Yeah. So first of all, Happy New Year back to you and to everybody on the panel. So Piers, in this case,
oh yeah, and I went ahead and posted the call-in link. So if you guys want to go ahead and go to the post tab, and you can go, like I said, you can go to the post tab. We hit the main page, go to the post tab, and you'll see the call-in link or the StreamYard link right there.
the most important thing to recognize is that there are two separate issues going on here. One is the Iranian people's battle with the regime, and there we support the Iranian people 100%. I would love for Iran to be a democracy, control its own country, and be a beacon for freedom in the Middle East. Well, that would be amazing. I would hope that everybody would want that. But there's a second issue also going on at the same time, which is that Israel wants regime change in Iran. They've wanted it for 20 years. They've agitated it for this entire time, including through the representatives of Israel like Mike Huckabee. He's not our ambassador. He's the Israeli ambassador. And we know that now because he had a secret meeting with Jonathan Pollard, who's a traitor to America. So he meets with traitors secretly, by the way.
Yeah, Mike Huckabee did have a secret meeting with an Israeli spy, which is absolutely insane. It's like, bruh. It's like, bro, really? Like, doesn't that kind of lean into the fact that we might be owned by the Zionists? Since, you know, we have ambassadors meeting with Israeli spies.